Russia unleashed another massive attack on Ukraine electrical infrastructure during the night. War is horrible. Don't pray for war. In fact, the Ukrainians are back to 2022. Hope you guys remember in 2022 what the Russians were doing to the Ukrainians. They targeted the Ukrainian electrical infrastructure to the point that they were using generators. Some people were using power banks. Some people couldn't even heat their homes. That is the situation that Ukraine is currently facing. Watch some of the videos. So that is the night attack. In less than a minute, Kyiv went completely dark. Now, some have no option now. They've now resorted to using generators, just exactly what was happening back in 2022 and 2023. Watch the video. So this is Kyiv. After the attack, the whole city went dark. So look at the city, very dark, no electricity. Check it out. Nobody is doubting the heroism of the Ukrainian people. They have done extremely well. In fact, very few countries on earth here can do what the Ukrainians have done. They are very powerful. They have done what any country is supposed to do. But it is time for them to stop this war. Those who continue to call them heroes, those who continue to incite them to fight against the Russians, I believe that they are the real enemies of the Ukrainians. The longer this war keeps, the more Ukraine is getting destroyed. The fact is, those who wait or those who think that at a point Russia economy is going to collapse and Ukraine is going to defeat Russia is waiting in vain. That is not going to happen. The longer this war keeps, the more Ukraine gets destroyed. Congratulations to us. We hit 4K subscribers in just 2 months. Thank you for your endless support. If you are new to the channel, subscribe and help this video go far by hitting on the like button. Remember, in yesterday's update, I told you guys that Volodymyr Zelensky said if Russia target Kyiv, Ukraine will also target Moscow. Now the big question is, does Ukraine have the capability or capacity to attack Moscow? The answer is yes and no. Yes, Ukraine might launch some 1 or 2 drones into Russian territories. But the point is, Ukraine cannot cause the level of damage that the Russians are causing to them currently. They don't have what it takes. The Ukrainians don't have hypersonic missiles or they don't have submarines or cruise ships to launch powerful missiles to destroy Russia's critical electrical infrastructures. Yes, they can launch drones, but these drones are not powerful enough to knock out, electrical infrastructure completely. When you look at Russian attacks, it is always a combination of cruise missiles, hypersonic missiles, drones. So they have more powerful weapons to knock out Ukraine electrical infrastructure. I hope or I pray it don't get to that point. But the Russians have demonstrated within the space of 3 years that they can knock out Ukraine electrical infrastructure completely. When you look at the previous attacks, what the Russians do is, after they attack Ukraine this way, they wait for the Ukrainians to go back and fix it. After fixing it, they go back and destroy it again. So you see the current stage that Ukraine is in now. So the Ukrainians will cry to the West for help. The West will definitely come in and support them. After supporting them, the Russians will go back and knock it out completely. So 2022, 2023, 2024, that is exactly what the Russians were doing. The Ukrainians fixed it, they go back, they destroy it again. Even at a point, some Ukrainians were sleeping in tents, some were sleeping in metro station, and that is exactly where I see the whole thing heading towards, because yesterday after the incident, some Ukrainians were forced to go to metro stations. Note, winter is coming. We are just in winter like that, right? And this is always the critical time of the year where these civilians need electricity, especially they need this electricity to heat their homes. And this is the point whereby the Russians always intensify their attacks on these electrical infrastructures. Now, one might ask, isn't this war crime? Isn't this, war against the civilian population? Well, I don't know whether this is war crime or not, but the Russians argue that it is not war crime. According to the Russians, NATO did the same thing in Yugoslavia back in 1999 when they invaded Yugoslavia. They argued that that is exactly what NATO did in Libya. That is exactly what NATO did in Iraq. When they first invaded Iraq, one of the first things that NATO did was to knock out Iraq electrical infrastructure. They did the same thing in Libya. So according to the Russians, they are only replicating what NATO did, and this is not a war crime. That is what the Russians are saying. I don't know whether it is war crime or not. You be the judge. Is it war crime or not? The Ukrainians, especially Volodymyr Zelensky, has requested for Tomahawk missiles countless number of times. Now, according to Volodymyr Zelensky, they need these Tomahawk missiles in order to inflict the same amount of damage to Russia. Now, let's analyze the whole thing critically. Is this Tomahawk missiles going to be the game changer? Anybody who started following this war from day one, you've probably heard about these game changer weapons numerous times. At a point, we were told that HIMARS was going to make all the difference. Ukraine was given this HIMARS. I'm not going to talk much. We all know where this HIMARS was able to get to. In fact, this HIMARS was not able to replicate the same amount of damage that the Russians were causing to the Ukrainians. Yes, HIMARS caused some damage to the Russians, but not to the same level that the Russians were causing this damage to the Ukrainians. The point is the Russians have more powerful precision missile systems, even more than HIMARS. Remember that the Russians have Tornado-S. They have the Iskander ballistic missile launcher. So the Iskander travel more far. The Iskander is more powerful. The Tornado-S is more powerful, more than HIMARS. So I don't know any weapon that the Ukrainians will request for that the Russians don't have. They have more than whatever the Ukrainians would definitely request for. At a point, they were talking about Storm Shadow missiles. I hope you guys remember this Storm Shadow missiles from Britain. They said this was also going to make a lot of difference. It didn't make any difference. And I believe that equally these Tomahawk missiles are not going to make any big difference on the battlefield as well. Another big point is the Americans don't have these Tomahawk missiles in stockpile to give the Ukrainians a lot. They can only give them some one or two, but it will be very difficult for the Americans to give Ukraine a lot of these Tomahawk missiles. So yesterday, the statecraft posted an article explaining into details the state of America missile system. Now, according to this article, America has given a lot of missiles to Ukraine and Israel, and America is now at a point whereby they need missiles to protect their own country. Now, they are preparing for a possible war with China. After China displayed their military might, they realized that they need to step up, and now the Trump government has instructed these defense companies to ramp up production ×2 or ×3. So, America as a state don't even have these missiles in stockpile to give Ukraine a lot. So the point is, it is likely that America is not going to give Ukraine this Tomahawk missiles. That is the fact. And yesterday, Slav also posted a very long article explaining why this Tomahawk delivery will be very difficult for America, because America buys a lot of uranium from Russia, and this uranium purchasing from Russia accounts to about 20% of America, total electricity. So if America gives this Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine to knock out Russia's electrical infrastructure, the Russians can also decide not to give America this uranium to also power their electricity. So the whole delivery of Tomahawk missile system is a bit complicated than what many people think. So according to Politico, Volodymyr Zelensky is telling Donald Trump that if Donald Trump deliver Ukraine these Tomahawk missiles, they will help Donald Trump win the Nobel Peace Prize. I just don't understand what this Tomahawk missiles has got to do with Trump Nobel Peace Prize. I don't know why Donald Trump is fixated on winning this whole Nobel Peace Prize. It has caused a lot of controversies. Some experts believe that Donald Trump is putting a lot of pressure on Nobel Peace Prize, guys, to give him this whole Nobel Peace Prize thing. By the way, I don't really care much about this whole Nobel Peace Prize thing. The moment, well, I don't want to talk about it. Let me leave it. But that is what is happening. I think Zelensky is taking advantage of Trump desperation, and that is why he's making all these statements. I don't know. I actually don't know what connection the Nobel Peace Prize has got to do with, this whole Tomahawk deliveries. By the way, that is what Politico is saying. So after listening to many experts, this whole Tomahawk delivery system might not even happen. So this whole hope that Ukraine will knock out Russia's electrical infrastructure might not even happen. By the way, thank you very much for watching the video once again. Thank you very much for your endless support. A big congratulations to all of us for hitting 4K subscribers. We achieved this just in 2 months. 2 months. In fact, you guys have done extremely well, and words can't explain my appreciation to you guys. Love you guys. Shalom. See you guys in the next episode. Wait. If you watch the video to the last end, type Timo 316 in the comment section. Shalom. See you guys in the next episode.